Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to talk about the coffee table books that I had mentioned in the previous video. Now, I did discuss coffee table books a long time ago when I think when I got my first Ford. It was a 2017 Ford F350 with a 6.7 Powerstroke. And I think I, uh, I mentioned coffee table books, and I pulled it up and I gave some information about some certain parts of that engine. But I want to talk about the coffee table books again for the 7.3 because the coffee table books, they're for the, you know, I wish Cummins, and I'm sure it may exist. I don't know. At least I can't find it online. I wish I had coffee table books for the 12 valve 5.9 and 6.7 Cummins diesels. Man, that would be fantastic. But they either don't, I can't find them, or they just don't exist, right? But for the 7.3 Powerstroke diesel, for all Powerstroke engines, to include the 7.3 IDI, apparently Ford or whatever, right? Whoever released these coffee table books, the authority to release them, they released them, and these little books, these coffee table books are a plethora of information. Gives you breakdowns of the engine, how the fuel system works, the electronics, the oil system. Gives you fault codes. Tells you how to service the engine, and so forth. It even gives you instructions of how to, you know, remove the injectors, the injector sleeves or the injector cups, reinstall, all that kind of stuff. These books are man, I tell you what, they are worth their weight in gold, you know, because if you need to find out information, you can open up one of these coffee table books and, now that everything's digital, you can go up here in the search bar and just type in what you want to look for, hit enter, and see what comes up, and you can probably find it. And that's great. So I want to touch on these coffee table books. There's two here. There is a 98 through 99 and a half Powerstroke. This is when the Super Duty first came out, right? We all know 1999 because there was no 98 Super Duty. We all know that, right? But Ford was, you know, in development of the Super Duty. And I don't remember at that time. There might have been a Super Duty probably came out in 98, kind of like the Ford, Ford introduced the 6.4 Powerstroke in 2007, but called it a 2008 or something. Something like that. It came out like a year earlier, right? But anyways, that's I don't remember exactly, but this book says 98 through 99 and a half, right? Really quick, I'm going to pull up the OBS 7.3 coffee table book. So the one I just pulled up here to your right on the screen. So you can see this one says 94 through 98. And this gives you the introduction to the Powerstroke. Gives you the breakdown of the fuel system, 5 major components, stages of injection, HUE, electronic control system. It even goes into a breakdown of how to service the engine. I mean, this coffee table book is a wealth of information. It gives you torque specs, horsepower specs. That if you want the accurate numbers, here it is. A lot of folks, will say, well, the truck came out with X number of horsepower. It's like, well, no, it didn't. It actually came out with this amount of horsepower, right? So sometimes people will claim something has more power than it really does, or less power, and then you can correct them with these coffee table books. This isn't something that my uncle said. I know a friend of a friend who said this, that his uncle said that, and that must be true. No, here's the source. Let's look at the source. Let's see what it says, right? Kind of like with changing the fuel filter. The truck's manual and these coffee table books, it doesn't say, that's the key word here, it does not say to drain the fuel filter bowl. It just says remove lid, replace filter, and that's it. Easy. And I did it yesterday. It didn't lose any fuel. No fuel came out of that bowl. Like, I did it slow. It didn't leak anything. Took the cap off. Took the filter out slowly so I wouldn't cause a mess. And then replaced their O-rings. Put the new filter in slowly. Put the new cap on with the O-ring. The O-ring is it's got like a bevel in it, so you got to put it on a certain way, right? And then yeah. Anyways, so you can see here that the one to your right on the screen. This is the OBS 7.3. It went through the injection system. Now this is talking about you got the high pressure oil pump, the injectors, breaks down the injectors, how it works, the stages of injection. I mean, there's a plethora of information, right? The electronic systems. I mean, it's just a lot of information, right? And I'm blowing through this because I don't want this to be like a video that's hours long, right? Um, but yeah, so this is great, and I'll put a link again. I think I put a link in the previous video where you can go and look at all the coffee table books for every Powerstroke diesel, from the 94 Powerstroke all the way to the 6.7. And again, they do have, I think they have a coffee table book for the IDI engines as well. But yeah, so you can see here, gives you, it talks about, I had always wondered why the Powerstroke diesel, the injectors, there is an injector cup. Like, I come from the Cummins world. There are no injector cups, right? You pull the injector, put a new injector in, you don't got to worry about an injector cup possibly failing and diesel fuel or oil or something bypassing it and getting into the coolant system, or vice versa. But these coffee table books explain that, and it's right here, right? Cylinder head nozzle hole, right? Let's go down here, this fourth paragraph. The injectors are installed in brass sleeves in the heads. Coolant flows around the outside of the sleeve to cool the injectors. Now, I did not know that. I mean, I've already always known that because I read this book in the past. But what I'm saying is, if I never found this coffee table book, I would have never known that, because I had always asked that. I was like, why does the Powerstroke have injector cups? That doesn't make sense. You don't need injector cups. That's just another thing that could fail, right? That's why I was always like, I'm a Cummins guy, right? But the injector cups are there, so the coolant flows around the outside of the sleeve, right? That's right here. That's the injector sleeve, right? Injector sleeve, injector cups, right? To cool the injectors. Wow, I didn't know that, right? So that's really great information. So now we know, right? But yeah. So, and this coffee table book also goes into how to remove the injectors, how to remove the injector sleeves, how to replace, and so forth, how to test the fuel systems, how to, like right here, the cylinder head injector sleeve removal, and so forth. I think we talked about injectors. So yeah, how to remove the injectors, gives you the tool, what tool part number that you need. I mean, this is just a great amount of information. Look at this. I mean, it's great. If you don't have one of these books, like really, if you don't have one of these books, I really highly recommend you go to the link and download these books, right? But so for the Super Duty 7.3, right? So we got 98 through 99.5, and then this one here to your right is a 99.5, and moving forward, right? But what I want to touch on, right? So we're back on this one here. Again, it gives you, this gives you all the updates from the OBS 7.3 to the Super Duty 7.3s. Breaks down the injectors again, because the injectors are different. They're the split shot versus single shot, right? So it breaks all that down. Talks about your fuel bowl, because the fuel bowl is different also on the Super Duty 7.3s than the OBS 7.3s. But here's what I want to talk about: fuel filter service, fuel filter removal. Loosen the filter lid with the standard oil filter wrench. To release the fuel filter, now this is OBS days, but it's in the Super Duty one because anyways, it's going to get to it. Depressed tabs on the side of the filter. A dual element fuel filter will be released during 99 model years. And that is this. See this one right here? The one I'm circling? That's the fuel filter for the Super Duty 7.3s, right? This dual element filter, right? But I guess for a period of time, I guess must have been a short time, probably trucks built in early 98 came with this, you know, style filter where it was connected to the lid and you had to depress it. But anyways, the point is it doesn't say drain the fuel bowl. It just says loosen the filter lid, replace filter. That's it, right? Pretty easy. And again, like I've said, when I did the fuel filter service yesterday, there was I didn't spill anything. I mean, it was super easy. I mean, really easy. Something that's also different about the Super Duty 7.3s is the fuel system and how the fuel deadheads in the engine. I wish they didn't make that change in the Super Duty 7.3s. I wish they still had the regulated, where the fuel returned to the tank from the the fuel flowed, the fuel rails in the heads were connected. Let me see, like here. So you see back to the coffee table book on your right on the screen, this diagram of how the fuel system flow chart, right? Fuel comes from the tank, right? Goes through the pump, the lift pump, goes into the fuel filter, right? Does its thing, and then makes its way to the engine. The fuel enters the front of the engine, both rails, right? So this is the front of the engine. The engine fan is here, right? Radiator, but the radiator is here, right? So it's coming to the front of the engine. The fuel enters the front, makes its way down the fuel rails to all the injectors, and then back out from the back of the engine, and then back to the fuel regulator, and then back to the tank. Well, the Super Duty 7.3s don't do that. Fuel comes from the tank, through the electric fuel pump, into the fuel filter. Fuel gets sent to the driver's side engine, the driver's side fuel rail at the front, and it deadheads at the back. Fuel also goes from the fuel filter to the passenger side fuel rail at the back, enters at the back, and then deadheads at the front. Now, the reason why they made this change for the Super Duty 7.3s is because of emissions. Because apparently the fuel would be really hot and it going back to the tank caused emissions or whatever. So that's why they made this change. That's why the fuel deadheads. And of course, if you're building a lot of power, you could experience, injector fuel starvation. Particularly, they say number 8 injector and whatnot, right? Well, basically, where the fuel deadheads, right? So that's interesting. I don't know why. I mean, I know why. It's because of emissions. I just hate that they did it. But Riffraff Diesel sells a kit that you can fix that. It'll reconnect both heads. The passenger side, the front test port here, because it's a fuel pressure test port, and then the driver's side fuel pressure test port. It reconnects that, takes the fuel, so it all flows. It's all both rails are connected, and then it goes back to the regulator, then back to the tank. So I haven't decided if I'm going to get that. I might. I don't need it, but I might, just because it will help smooth things out. Some people say that on reviews, they say, well, I got the FRX and it helped with smoothing out the engine, idle and so forth. Some people claim better fuel mileage. I believe it. Anything to help out fuel delivery, fuel, whatever. Every little bit helps. Getting a little bit more air in your engine, everything helps. But anyway, so, making our way down, this book, there's a lot of information, has torque specs. Look at this. I love this. Standard metric, for torque specs for parts and, drain plugs, etc. Making our way down, again, lots of information, breakdown of the systems and HPOP systems, oil pump systems, water pump systems, and talks about the cam position sensor. Right? They say you should carry a spare. I have 2 spares that I carry with me just in case. Yeah, and then then it goes into diagnostic guides, forms, and circuit diagrams. This is really cool. Starts with a 94.5. It gives you the 7.3 diesel pin out values for 94.5, and then the electrical diagram for 94.5, 94.5 Powerstroke fault codes, which is really cool. And then it goes to, I think it breaks it down by year or by model years that had some significant changes, right? So we got 96 pin out values, 96 the electronic system diagram schematics, right? The fault codes for 95, 96. We're going to keep going. This one here is for 97. This one says 49 states and California for F250, F350, California only. That's interesting. And Econoline 7.3s. There's a schematics there for E series and California F series. It's interesting. California only for that one. There's your fault codes for that. 97 again. This is all Super Duties for all 49 and states and California. This is 97. 97 fault codes. So it looks like this is the F series. Here's another diagram. What model year is this for? Okay. So this one's for Econoline F2 350 California only. Okay, interesting. Okay, here we go. 99 fault codes, right? 98.5 through 99. So the Super Duty codes, diagrams. So gives you, look at this, hard start, no start diagnostics, right? Gives you how you can test for, what to look out for. That's cool. Like these coffee table books, honestly, if you own a 7.3, this is probably something that you want to print out and keep in your truck, right? This is a wealth of information. Let's see your performance diagnostics. Okay, we got the glossary here. And then the coffee table book to your right on the screen, this is 99.5. This is just updates to the coffee table book here you see on the screen right now on your left, right, when the Super Duty first came out. These are just updates. And you can see for 99.5, there isn't much updates. Just talks about, again, the fuel filter. This was an update. This is a dual element versus a single element. Looks like the plenums are different here. There's some minor changes, right? But yeah, so I hope you found this video informational. There are a lot of really good information here, and I'll leave a link to the site where you can find these coffee table books, and I highly recommend, if you got a 7.3 or any Powerstroke diesel, you should go to the link and download these coffee table books. Even though it's online, that doesn't mean it's going to be there forever, unless you've got a Wayback Machine and you can find them, right? Just like with DodgeRam.org, that site, I guess when the original owner of that page, I don't know what happened, passed away or whatever. If so, God rest his soul, his or her soul. But you can't. That website doesn't exist anymore unless you got a Wayback Machine. And I was able to find it. It's like, oh look, I found it again. But that site had a plethora of information for the 12 valve and 5.9 Cummins. But anyways. All right, I'm gonna shut her down here. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. It's just I just find it weird to say that. Do you guys ever think about that? I don't leave comments, but I might leave comments open. And the reason why I have comments shut down is because I don't like. It's my channel, right? And some people, they're just like, just delete the truck. That's when I drove an emissions truck. Delete the truck. Delete the truck. That's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen, right? We're gonna work with what we have, right? So, ultimately, if you think about it, I did the ultimate delete. I deleted all the emissions, as in getting rid of the new trucks, and I'm now driving older trucks. That is the ultimate delete, right? Uh, because anyways, and I don't need all them shenanigans. It's nice to have 12-inch screen, all that stuff, but you don't need it. You don't need it. But anyways, all right, I'm gonna shut it down here. Like and subscribe, share this video, and we'll see y'all in the next one.